Okay, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, a retired Command Sergeant Major in the National Guard. He represents Minnesota's 1st Congressional District and is the ranking member of the House of Veterans Affairs Committee. A member of American Legion Post 11 in Mankato, Minnesota. He was the creator and sponsor of the American Legion Coin Bill and was a valuable ally in the passage of numerous other veteran-centric legislation. Please give a warm American Legion family welcome to Representative Tim Walz.
Thank you, ma'am. My commitment. Well, thank you to my commander. I am appreciative of that introduction. To Commander Ludwig and the fellow Minnesotans, I salute you. Thank you for your service. To each of you, thank you for being here. I'm a school teacher by trade, so I know this to be a fact. The least productive time of the day is the 1 hour after lunch. So I hope that is not why you invited a member of Congress to speak to you right now. I hope it's being the Minnesotan. So welcome to the 100th gathering of the American Legion, our American Legion. I thank you, my brothers and sisters in the Legion, for the work you do. Just so you know also, the weather you're experiencing is exactly the same in February. It's pretty much year-round, just like this. So don't let the people in Wisconsin tell you differently. Before I start, I'd like to thank each of you and this organization for the kind words and the condolences to Senator McCain's wife, Cindy, and the family. I think for many of us in this room, it's been a bittersweet week, remembering a life that embodies the American spirit, a life of true patriotism, true Americanism, and understanding that voice has been silenced. But I would make the case that voice will never be silent as long as the American Legion stands tall. That voice will never be silent as patriots across this nation honor that service. And I, as a member of Congress, had the privilege of not just serving with John McCain, but calling him my friend, but also having his mentorship to show me how this can be done right. So it's in that spirit that I thank you for having me here, and I hope that each of us take a bit of a lesson from Senator McCain on how we conduct ourselves. I represent southern Minnesota's 1st District. It's about an hour and a half south of here. It stretches from the plains of South Dakota across all of northern Iowa, and it ends at the Mississippi River and the rolling hills with Wisconsin. It is one of the Earth's most productive agricultural lands. Chances are the turkey you eat at Thanksgiving came from my district. It's also home to the Mayo Clinic, and we also manufacture every single fuel pump for F-35 fighters, as well as home to the Hormel Company. So every single can of Spam in the world comes from my district in southern Minnesota. We're a proud people. We are fiercely loyal. We are patriotic. We try and live our faith, and we care deeply about this nation, just like the places that you come from. And each and every one of you could have chosen someplace else to be today. You could use your money to do something else. You could use your time and talent to do something else. But you chose to be in Minneapolis for the Legion Convention for a very simple, eloquent, and beautiful reason. You love this nation, and you know we need your voice. So thank you for that. Just like so many of you, my father was a Korean War era veteran. The day after I turned 17, he drove me to a farm field outside of Springview, Nebraska, where we met up with the recruiter for the Army and took a young lieutenant off his tractor, and I swore the oath of enlistment on that sunny spring day. A few weeks later, I found myself in Fort Benning, where I spent a lifetime that summer training to be a U.S. Army infantryman. And what I know is, and what my father knew is that sense of service, and what you get out of serving this nation is far more than they'll ever get out of you. And that idea that each and every one of us are in this together is what brings us here. So when I see the American Legion gathering, and when I see these seats with you in it, what I know, you are far more than just Legionnaires. You are far more than veterans. You are the conscience of this nation. And that voice must always be heard. So thank you for taking the time that you've done to be here. Thank you for committing to what we do. Trust me, I'm in a business. I'm a school teacher who I never planned my life to be in the United States Congress, but I think my life prepared me well for it. But I run into people every day and say, you know, I'm just not that into politics. Who can blame them? Who can blame them when they watch things? Who can blame them when Congress falls somewhere between head lice and North Korea in popularity? Who can blame them when they turn on TV and it's constant bickering? But what I know and what I say to them is, when they tell me they're just not that into politics, I say, too damn bad, politics is into you. And that's why you come here today. We can either accept our fate and fear a future, or we can stand together and create the future of this nation and this world that we want to see. That's the mission of the American Legion. That's the mission of why you're here. And Winston Churchill told us once, as he was so always quick-witted and always was quick to point out America's faults, but it was usually had to get at the heart of who we were as a people. He told us that this democracy was the worst form of government ever, except for every other one. And then he said you can always count on America to get it right after they try everything else first. It speaks to a bit of our tenaciousness. It speaks to a bit of understanding that if democracy were easy, every other country would have done it. If democracy were easy, it wouldn't have to be fought over every generation. If democracy were easy, the tyrants would be easy to overthrow instead of seeing them in every generation. And every generation of Americas from Valley Forge till today has had to stand in the face of that tyranny and had to put themselves on the line. And this nation now knows, with 1% of our population protecting 100% of us, with 10% wearing the title of veteran or sitting in a room like this, the responsibility falls heavy on you. It falls heavy on us as veterans. And when I go back to that disdain of government, I never forget every single day that I'm in the United States Congress. The privilege to self-govern was played for in the blood of patriots. The privilege of being able to debate our neighbor on issues, and it can be done and should be done. But it must be done in the vein of what was given to allow us to do that. Not a single one of us served in our branch of services alongside a Democrat or a Republican. We didn't serve alongside a Jew, a Muslim, or a Christian. We served alongside an American warrior, and that's who we're here to defend. So the work this organization has done, not just in, and you are not here simply to advocate for veterans' benefits, although God help us, we have to do that. And I don't think it is out of malice. It is done out of ignorance that people don't understand. And so when we talk about creating the Comrie GI Bill, Forever GI Bill, or we talk about appeals reform, or we talk about expanding research into the VA, or we talk about reducing veteran suicides, that is about strengthening this nation. That is about keeping the moral responsibility of this nation true by paying the debts to those who are willing to serve. When you get a veteran's benefit, you did not win the lottery. It is the thank you and the price that liberty and freedom costs, and this nation must not be allowed to forget that. That's the job of the Legion. So when we move forward on the tough issues, I understand that national security comes in many means. I am a school teacher and thrifty by nature. National debt and spending can imperil this nation's fiscal and security. If we do not invest in our people, we are not as competitive as we can be. So it is always about striking balances of our priorities to move the nation forward while continuing to make sure that we understand clearly we can't get national security wrong. There is no room for error. There is no room for skipping. And part of that is showing the faith to future generations that if you're willing to serve, we will take care of you. So everyone in this room understands everybody needs to pay their fair share. But as a member of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and a position I've taken not just because I'm a retired command sergeant major, because I believe it's critically important to send the message to fellow Americans that I am not okay with us balancing the budget on veterans issues by asking our veterans to increase co-pays for pharmaceuticals, or by taking benefits from one group of veterans to another. Because let's be honest, you paid your copay at Chosin Reservoir. You paid your copay in Southeast Asia. You paid your copay in Iraq, and you paid your copay in the mountains of Afghanistan. It's time for the rest of the nation to understand fulfilling those values is fulfilling the destiny and the right responsibility for security of this nation. So to the American Legion who has stood there in that breach and demanded that we do right by our veterans, I say thank you on behalf of all of my constituents in southern Minnesota who are safer, freer, and have more opportunities because of what the American Legion stands for. Thank you. We know we've got more work to do. We know we have an entire new generation of veterans coming back from war. We know that as long as one single veteran commits suicide, the job is not done. If one veteran sleeps on the street, the job is not done. If one veteran waits too long for health care, the job is not done. We know there's more to do, but I can tell you this, there is nothing that unites this nation more than the care of our veterans. And last year, when the New York Times wrote a story and they were talking about a broken Congress, they said this: if you want to know how Congress is supposed to work, look at the VA committee. Chairman Rowe, who you're going to be hearing from in a short time, a Republican from Tennessee, and myself, a Democratic farmer laborer from southern Minnesota, there is absolutely no daylight between us on the care of this nation's veterans. There is no daylight on how we conduct ourselves in the service of America's veterans. And because of that, the last several Congresses have been the most productive we've seen in decades in delivering for veterans, because we have partnered together and partnered with the American Legion in the best interest of America. And that's how it's supposed to work. So as we get ready to move forward, I want to thank you as a Minnesotan. And I don't know how many you betcha jokes you've heard, but I'm sure they're out there. Ole and Lena jokes, for those of you who haven't heard those yet, we have a plethora of those. But we are proud that the first Legion Convention was held where you're at now, and now the 100th. And we're about ready to do something that I can tell you of my time in Congress gives me immense pride. We're going to commemorate that with an American Legion coin, with an opportunity for everyone to own a piece of that history, with an opportunity for Americans to invest back and use those funds to not just support veterans. I tell you this as a school teacher. The number of sporting and activity programs in our communities, American Legion Boys State and Girls State that introduces our young people to the possibilities of hopeful government, or the idea of teaching Americanism so our students understand how unique this nation is, how special it is in the world, and how important it is. Those are the things that the American Legion does, and the sales of these coins and the proceeds from that will only expand that mission. But I also want to say, I'm not going to be here, and you're not going to be here. But let's all be very clear. From that very first meeting 100 years ago to where you sit today, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And going forward, future generations of Americans are going to stand on your shoulders. So the American Legion has stood proud, has stood firm, and has stood in that breach of ensuring America's national security and the care of our warriors for 100 years. But let's be clear, you need to be here another 100 years and another 100 beyond that. Because as long as the American Legion stands proud, America will stand proud. So thank you all for taking the time to come out here. May God bless each and every one of you. May God bless the American Legion, and may God bless this great country. Thank you all.
Before I introduce our next guest, some of the people who will be assisting with the upcoming unveiling are Representative Walz, past National Commander Dave Rabine, our Marketing Chairman Ken Danielson, National Vice Commander Paula Stevenson, and National Vice Commander Byron Calise. I say some of the people because it's really all of you, the entire American Legion family who made it possible. The passage of the American Legion Commemorative Coin Act was truly historic. Congress only authorizes 2 coins of this type during every 2 sessions. We did so with a record number of co-sponsors and with significant competition from other fine organizations hoping for the same honor. The coin will be available before the American Legion's birthday in March of 2019. I encourage you all to visit www.legion.org/coin for updates. Our next guest has a very impressive background. He is a former Deputy Chief of Staff for the Vice President of the United States. He was Deputy Treasurer of the United States and Director of the U.S. Mint under President George H.W. Bush. He returned to his old position after he was nominated by President Trump in 2017 and confirmed in 2018. Please welcome the Director of the U.S. Mint, David J. Ryder.
Thank you, Denise and Congressman Walz. It's truly an honor to join you here today in Minneapolis, the site of the Legion's first conference, to unveil the 2019 American Legion 100th Anniversary Commemorative Coin Designs. I also want to thank you both for serving our country so honorably as U.S. military veterans. I also want to thank all of you for your service. We all owe you a debt of gratitude. Every day across the nation, the Mint connects America through coins. And next year will be our great privilege to connect America to the legacy of the nation's largest wartime veteran service organization. I may not be a veteran myself, but my parents were both military veterans. My dad, a naval aviator, and my mom, a Navy nurse. They both met during the war in a naval hospital during World War II. My mom served many parts of the world, including China, a lot of parts of Asia, on the naval ship USS Hope, while my dad was a naval pilot. Dad retired with over 24,000 hours in the captain's seat, flying almost 45 years as an aviator. He was a good man. I am a big believer in the creed, duty, honor, and country. My dad, when we were kids, watching the football championships and games on television on our parents' green shag carpet, would always have the boys and the girls in their family, we had 5 kids, stand up when they played the national anthem and salute the flag and put our hands over our heart when they said the national anthem. He was a big supporter of the military. He's an honorable man, and I appreciated his education and his tutorial on how I grew up honoring our country's flag. As the largest mint in the world, the United States Mint employs more than 1,700 men and women, and I'm proud to say 36% of those employees are veterans. The Mint produces the coinage required by the nation to conduct its trade and commerce. In addition, Congress authorizes the production and the sale of commemorative coins to pay the tribute to the people and events that have significantly impacted our lives. Since the beginning of the modern commemorative coin program in 1992, the U.S. Mint has raised more than $506 million in surcharges to help build or enhance new museums, preserve historical sites, and support important national programs. If we sell this program out, the American Legion commemorative coin, if we have a complete sellout, it should raise somewhere in the neighborhood of $9.5 million to this organization. So it's imperative that everybody goes on the website that Denise mentioned. You can also go on www.usmint.gov and learn more about the coin program as it evolves. These coins help raise money for important causes. As part of the price of each commemorative coin is a surcharge which goes to organizations and projects that benefit the community. Surcharges from this program are authorized to be paid to the American Legion to support the Legion's programs for veterans, members of the armed forces, and other purposes specified by the authorizing legislation. Since our institution's founding in 1792, the men and women of the United States Mint have taken great pride in rendering the story of our nation in enduring examples of numismatic art. To hold a coin or a medal produced by the U.S. Mint is to connect to the founding principles of our nation and making of our economies. The designs for these beautiful coins were created by artists from the Artist Infusion program and brought to life by our sculptors and engravers at the United States Mint in consultation with the American Legion, the Citizens Coins Advisory Committee, and the United States Commission of Fine Arts. Public Law number 1165 passed on October 6, 2017, which allows the Mint to strike and issue 50,000 $5 gold coins, 400,000 $1 silver coins, and 750,000 half-clad coins. I'm proud to say that together we have answered the call from Congress to create these three coin programs recognizing and celebrating the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I present to you the designs of the American Legion's 100th anniversary commemorative coins. First, the gold obverse heads was designed by Chris Costello, sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, and commemorates the inception of the American Legion and its mission to serve America and its war veterans. The outer geometric rim, designed from the American Legion emblem, the Eiffel Tower, and V for victory, represents the formation of the organization in Paris in 1919 and the end of the World War I. Inscriptions in God We Trust, Liberty, 1919, and 2019. The gold reverse, the tails, was designed by Paul C. Balin and sculpted by Joseph Mena. The design depicts a soaring eagle, a symbol of the United States during times of war and peace alike. The American Legion emblem is depicted above the eagle. Inscriptions are United States of America, $5, E pluribus unum. The silver obverse was also designed by Paul Balin and sculpted by U.S. Mint sculptor engraver Retna Gordon. This design depicts the American Legion emblem adorned by oak leaves and a lily commemorating the founding of the American Legion in Paris, France. The silver reverse was designed by Patricia Lucas Morris and sculpted by Michael Guscato, to represent the founding of the American Legion in Paris in 1919. Above crossed American and American Legion flags is a fleur-de-lis and the inscription, 100 years of service. Additional inscriptions are United States of America, 1919, 2019, $1, and E pluribus unum. The clad obverse was designed by Richard Masters and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill. This design depicts two children standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, the little girl proudly wearing her father's gold American Legion hat. Inscriptions are Liberty, 2019, In God We Trust, and I pledge allegiance to the flag. The clad reverse was designed by Richard Masters and sculpted by Joseph Minna. The design completes the phrase from the obverse, "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." The design depicts an American flag waving atop a high flagpole as seen from the children's point of view. The ground below and the American Legion emblem is featured just above the flag. Additional inscriptions are E Pluribus Unum and $50. The American Legion commemorative coins celebrate a century of service to our nation through its efforts to assist, preserve, and protect the interest of all veterans and service members. Congratulations to the American Legion on your extraordinary legacy and all that is yet to come. Thank you.